I guess I could be a sweetheart and put on some music for the folks at home that are waiting. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Sure.
And we're fixing to go live, guys. Desk is literally a clusterfuck right now. Like, if you were to look up clusterfuck in the dictionary, We got Bayonet joining the club. We're fixing to go live in about 1 minute, so y'all just hang on to your panties, tighten up your girdles. We're fixing to round the bend. It's going to be a good one, I feel like, folks. And Bayonet. You know what? I'm feeling frisky. Ooh. What do you say we go ahead and get started, Anthony? What do you think?
Let's do it to it.
Let's do it to it. I've lost my other tab, and that's okay. Oh, I see what's going on here. Alrighty then. And welcome back to yet another episode of the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. Tonight, we'll be discussing the congressional candidate, Enrique Tarrio. Actually, we won't be discussing him. He's going to be here, and we'll talk about his damn self. And
Which won't be hard to do.
And his congressional run for the 27th District of Florida. And that's going to be pretty much it for tonight. And stay tuned for Phobismus. I think you're going to like tonight's. All right.
You're listening to the Unframe of Mind show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your hosts battle the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
Alrighty. Welcome back, folks, ladies, gentlemen, boys,
What's up, man?
and girls. You know, I've been kind of looking forward to this one. Looking forward to kicking off our live show Wednesdays and whatnot, and I think it's a good way to kick it off the new year with Enrique Tarrio.
Yeah.
So what do you say we go ahead and bring him on in the show?
Yeah, let's bring him on.
I feel like we need him. I don't mean to cut you off. I feel like we really need him for this episode of the
We need him.
Phobismist. We do need him. We do need him.
don't we?
So, welcome to the show,
Enrique.
mi amigo Enrico.
What up?
How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me on. And
Again.
I know last time I started some issues for you guys, but I think this time we're going to be good.
Yeah,
Social media wasn't kind to us whatsoever.
You know, it only took us 3 months to get our live streaming abilities back, and that was November 27th. We finally were able to live stream on Facebook again. So
I spent about 7 days in Facebook jail because
that
of
was
this,
his fault, wasn't it? I completely
yeah.
forgot.
You guys are a bunch of masochists, dude.
It's like, you know
There's
what?
no other word for it.
Yeah, we've had too much freedom on Facebook. Let's get kicked again.
Yeah, might as well. I'm going for 30 days this time.
And
so.
speaking of which, if you guys are watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube, we can be kicked at any time. There's just such a wide range of topics we cover, and sometimes, you know, when you're having uncomfortable conversations without a condom, it might be possible that you're going to hit on something that somebody's going to get a little butthurt about. So that being said, please, if you wouldn't mind, head on over to our Minds page, Unframe of Mind, or our Telegram. We're in any number of spots. You can check us out. You can go to our website and find out all the other places we are. So please follow us over there, just in case we do get kicked again, and then we can blame Enrique. He's not allowed there. So
You said just in case.
just in case.
That's cute.
More like when. More like when, I think would be.
It's just a matter of time.
All right. So let's kick this off real quick and give people the lowdown about kind of what you have going on, first of all, as far as your congressional run. Give us little details about what that's been like so far, what your plans are, and we'll just kind of kick off the conversation from there.
So I decided to do this thing in November, which is run for Congress. We were contemplating it for like 6 months. We're trying to see what seat to run for, what are my chances, and we decided to go with Florida's 27th Congressional District against Hillary Clinton puppet Donna Shalala. Now, Donna Shalala ran the Clinton Foundation.
I seem to have lost your sound.
You hear me?
Oh,
testing.
You're back. Try
There
that.
you go.
Okay, so you said
Okay.
Donna Shalala, and then go on from there.
Hillary Clinton puppet Donna Shalala, which ran the Clinton Foundation for quite a bit of time. And it's a very winnable district. I consider myself one of the front runners in the Republican Party. So getting through the primary, I think we're going to be in Congress next year, and I think we'll be doing live streams directly from my office in Congress come next January.
Nice.
Donna Shalala.
Yep.
Hey.
Wow. That's a little
That looks
frightening.
like Hillary Clinton's best pal since like 1910.
Yep.
I only said 1910 because I happen to be holding my mouse over an image that says it's a 1910 by 1000 pixels. So really, I don't pull my numbers out of nowhere. You know, I get inspiration.
You're fake
from,
news, man. Come on.
Fake news.
Yeah.
It's not really 1910.
No.
Anyway, so there's Donna Shalala there. All right. So and you said you ran based on what district you felt like you had a chance at winning in. What do you feel like your chances are?
I think my chances are very high. I think actually the numbers on the district, so Republicans in this district come out to vote a lot in bigger numbers during the general elections. So last year she won by 6.5 points, and the numbers are there. The Republican voters are there. We just have to bring them out. I have a really good street team. I have a very good team that's actually on this live stream right now.
Nice.
Hey team.
And
hey team.
There you go. That's Team Tarrio. Hashtag Team Tarrio right there.
Hashtag Team Tarrio. You heard it, folks. So
Yeah.
share this video out, guys, and use hashtag Team Tarrio, and we'll get the word out. We'll spread it out far and wide as we can.
So I've got to ask kind of the elephant in the room with this question.
Are
With
you a
being
racist?
Yes, well, that too. But with being the chairman of the Proud Boys, do you think this might hinder your ability to get elected into office? Or what do you think the overall sense from the public might are they going to accept it, or do you think there might be some pushback on it?
Regardless of the fact, I'm running as myself.
Okay.
I've always said that. I wasn't
Yeah.
going to run to change. I wasn't going to step down. I had a couple of people, establishment people that wanted to be part of my team. And they're like, oh, well, if you drop out of the Proud Boys, you might have a better chance. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Good.
You know, I'm going to run as myself. If I lose, you know what? It's my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I didn't reach enough voters or whatnot. But I do not think I know that the Proud Boys isn't going to hinder me. If anything, it helps.
Good.
The conservative base is strong down here. The anti-communist rhetoric coming from people that are really passionate, coming from a family that's Cuban and all the Cuban families that are down here, you know, the Proud Boys, I think, is something that'll help. It's just informing those voters on who we are. The more people I get in front of, the more voters I get. I went to an event today, and as soon as people saw who I was, they're like, listen, you don't got to pitch to me anymore. I'm voting for you.
That's cool.
I think
That's
I
cool.
think it's
That's cool.
important. You know, you can't just run like what am I going to do? I drop out from being a Proud Boy, and it's still going to be like something that's going to be in the shadows. You know, they're still going to bring it up. Doesn't matter. I love my guys, every single one of them. The Proud Boys is an amazing organization of great
Sorry to interrupt,
men.
but that kind of does make sense. If you do drop out, that, you know, if you stay, they can just say, well, he's currently a member of a racist organization, and he's, you know, out here trying to, you know, run for Congress. But if you drop out, then they could say, well, he was a member of a racist organization, and not only that, now he steps off and tries to distance himself from his friends, and he's that kind of guy that's not going to remain loyal. Yep. It's like so many ways that can be spun regardless of what you do. Yep. So like I think I like your approach as far as just being you, and it's neat because I hear a lot of candidates that get on different podcasts and things, and they talk to, you know, they say they don't talk to the host in these long form conversations, and those are the ones that I tend to relate with most because they are being them, whether I agree with them or not. And I think that's I think what I'm saying is it's a good approach as far as I can tell because of the nature of the social media and the way things are going, you know, in today's political atmosphere. So, I mean, kudos, keep it up. You know, I really do hope the absolute best for you. That would be freaking awesome if we could, you know, say, hey, we got that dude. He was on our show, and now he's in Congress, and we got like ties to the congressional purse and shit. You know,
yeah.
You know, because we're definitely going to exploit you for every penny we can. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. But you guys, like I tell everybody that comes by, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but the office of the House Representatives, you know, it's open door policy.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, you know, if I'm there and you know that I'm there, come by, say hi, talk to me. Just like I tell my constituents the same thing. Come by. I mean, that's my job to listen to the constituents, right?
Yeah. Right.
You know, even though sometimes I might not agree with them, as long as it's something that I feel like is I'm heavy set on the Constitution. Like I I said this. I'm going to run on zero compromises on our Constitution. But if I do listen to somebody and I do hear enough of it, that's something that I'm going to question. That's something that I'm going to bring up because obviously my constituents come first. That's your job. Your job is to be a
voice for the people.
Not just a voice for the people. Like a lot of people that are sitting in Congress right now, they forget. Like Nancy Pelosi today said that. I forgot the terminology she used, but she said it like the people are her children. That's not how that works.
Whoa, that's
we work for them. We work for the people. So a lot of people forget about that. We're supposed to be really essentially like slaves to these people. I mean, that's an aggressive word to use, but that's exactly what you are. You're a slave to your constituents. You're supposed to represent them. You're a servant. You're a public servant, and that gets forgotten with this elitist mentality that a lot of people in Congress and unfortunately in politics have, that they think that they're better than you. I don't think that I'm better than a lot of people. Well, I know who I am better than, right? It's not people. It's people that think that they're better than me. That tells me I am better than you because of that.
Well, we've got the where, and we've got the when, and we've got the how. But I'm curious about the why. Why are you running? What do you plan on doing with your position of power should you end up winning?
Free pizza for everybody.
Shit. Yeah. Oh, you sound like a socialist more and more every day.
Well, I do have one socialist program that I'm going to do, and it's give everybody a gun. But
give everybody a gun.
I'm kidding.
God, I hope so.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Just more on that. I could just see like Republican heads spinning, like a government program that gives people guns. But
don't forget pizza and guns. I mean, who would want that?
You can't beat that.
They're like, on the one hand, I really, really would like to have a gun. On the other hand, we don't need another government program, for fuck's sake.
Well, let's say we cut off all the other ones. Would you be like, oh, well, it's not that bad?
I mean,
Yeah. But no, on a serious note, the reason why I'm running is, first off, I wouldn't run if I thought I couldn't win. That's called a protest candidacy, and we have enough of those. One funny one is great, is Vermin Supreme. That's supposed to be a protest candidacy, and he's actually, I think he won the New Hampshire primary or something like that. But I wouldn't run if I didn't think I can win. This seat is not a heavy blue seat. It's actually considered a D+4 seat. And two, I think I'm the best person for the job. I think, and I know I'm speaking with a bias here, I think I am the scariest thing to Democrats in Congress right now. Running right now, there's nobody that Democrats fear more with a congressional seat than me. Because I will steamroll them in Congress. We need energy. We need electricity. We need to stop getting people that just go in there to check a box. We need people that are actually like why are names like Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan so popular? Everybody, they do the same job as everybody else. They come in, they check a box. It's the fact that they're outspoken. We need more outspoken people in the conservative movement, in the Republican Party. Democrats have it. The Democrats have an arsenal of new fire that's transforming the party.
Transforming, hell, it's dividing it. I mean, I think I heard what's his name, Tim Pool, the other day said I think he made a pretty good case that we now pretty much have three parties, and that's the Republicans, the Democrats, and the progressives now. Of course, it's fun. It's fun to watch, but I see what you're saying. We almost like when a few years back we had the Tea Party movement. A bunch of people that were getting there, new blood, had some great ideas, were willing to fight for it. What happened to that? I like the idea that what you're saying, but we've seen that happen before. So what? I mean, what now?
Well, we're seeing another thing that we're seeing with the Democrats is this new energy, this new spark that's in the Democratic Party, which tends to lean towards socialism, right? Scary word or whatever, but it's true. They're puppeteering Nancy Pelosi.
No,
You know,
I mean,
we
I wouldn't even say lean toward socialism. It's straight up.
no,
I mean,
they're
you
open
got
about
Bernie
it.
Sanders straight up running as a democratic socialist.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's pretty open about that.
That's not basically socialism. That is socialism.
Yeah, and he's top keck in the presidential
Oh,
primary.
is he? Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually has. If I were to say somebody that would probably take the nomination for the Democrats, it'd probably be Bernie or Warren. You know, at this point,
we'll
I don't
see.
know if
We'll
Biden
see.
is going to win this. I was sure Biden was going to win, but I think it's going to be Warren or Bernie.
Especially after what happened with Project Veritas releasing that new footage from Bernie Sanders' campaign. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but I think
it's energetic to their base.
It's going to
as
be
bad
it's gonna
as
be
it is
interesting.
for us. They're taking it in. They're accepting it. They're like, oh well, James O'Keefe is being James O'Keefe. Fake news or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw a whole bunch of tweets call him fake news or whatever.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're seeing people like the Squad, AOC, Ilhan Omar. We're seeing them puppeteer Nancy Pelosi. A couple months ago, Nancy Pelosi didn't want to bring up the impeachment thing. She knew that a partisan impeachment was going to be a huge divider, and here we go. They pushed her to go ahead and start this sham of an impeachment process. But that's why I want to run, and that's why I'm running to win. I'm running because I'm the best person for the job. In my primaries, I am the best contender to take on Shalala, right? We have somebody that's an establishment shill, right, that ran last year and lost, right? She's running again. She thinks she's going to win. And then we have a wife beater, right, that's running like a wife beater. This isn't a tinfoil hat conspiracy.
Oh, you don't mean like a little, skinny white shirt with no
So
sleeves?
he's going to start selling those shirts on my website with his name on it. Because it's ridiculous that any Republican would run somebody like that in the primary. So I think I am the best for the job. I am the most conservative in that primary. Right, and I believe I have the energy to beat Shalala in the general.
Well, let's see what kind of points you're running on. I know you mentioned before in the pre-show interview that you had some points that you wanted to run by us and see if we could find some area of disagreement or agreement or what have you. So let's see what you got. Lay it on us.
I really doubt that you guys are going to disagree with me on some of these things. I know that you guys. Daniel, I think you lean more towards libertarian views, right? Am I correct?
Lee. I miss Lee. Lee used to be on the show, and he's very good at playing devil's advocate. Maybe I can step in. No, I'm just. I wouldn't say libertarian. I'm pretty much anarchist.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Atheist.
Some of these views, and I'll bring them up. I got like a little bullet point thing, so I could tell you guys, but Here we go.
It is kind of funny though when I say I'm an anarchist and an atheist. It's like it sounds kind of lefty, which it's funny because those terms only tell you what I don't believe. It tells you nothing about what I do believe. So people can just kind of assume, and I think it's funny because people start assuming that I'm a lefty, and then engage with me as such.
Well, when we had talked last night, he mentioned something about going to Mexico and speaking out there. Did you want to maybe run that by Daniel to kind of get his thoughts on that?
So I got invited to this event that I knew nothing about. It's called excuse me for mispronouncing this, but it's called like Anarchopunk or whatever.
Yeah, I'd love to go to that. Yeah.
And somebody's
Billy
like, "Yeah, I
Forster.
want you as a keynote speaker, at one of the crypto when we're going to talk about crypto." And the first thing I told her is like, I'm very limited on what I know about crypto. I know what I don't want the government to do. So she wanted me to speak at it. So I started researching it and stuff like that, and started looking at some of the artwork and stuff. And I'm like, this might not be the event for me, even though I pretty much stand with her on the same views that she has with government involved in crypto. But then I spoke to Tony, and Tony's like, "Hey, do you know that the cartel, was it that they hurt him or something like that?"
No, the Lily Foster video or the interview that we did with her, John was actually murdered outside of the front of their home. You've got to go back and watch that interview that we had with her. That was, everything from the cartel to murder to cryptocurrency to living off grid. They fled to U.S. To avoid prison time. It's
a hell of a story. Lily Forrester.
Yeah,
I can shoot you the link, or he can. Either
one. But they
know.
attended this event, and they met some incredible people. But during that process, there was a price ultimately paid for them being a part of that, that lifestyle. And John was murdered just out, front of their home. And there's actually a video online where she, recorded herself. Pleading to her friends for help. She wasn't shot, but then another friend of theirs was, and he recorded himself, and he had been shot 3 times. So it's just, that area of Mexico is one of the highest, as far as crime and murder for Mexico. And yeah, so you might be better off just staying put her at home for a little while.
After our conversation yesterday, I did a little bit of digging, like just looking up stuff, and I'm like, I called her and I gave her a hard no. I'm like, I'm running for Congress in the United States. What the hell am I going to do in Mexico? 2, what am I going to do at this event? And 3, I'm a congressional candidate in Mexico.
No.
The next thing is my campaign manager would probably get on your show and be asking for donations to pay for my ransom.
Say we didn't warn you.
No, I'm like, no, listen, I love crypto, but let's do something here in Miami, something that we can work with. And, my policy is simple on crypto, even though, again, I'm going to tell, if I don't know about something, I'm going to tell you straight up, hey, I don't know enough about it. Crypto, I don't know enough about it to talk about crypto, but I do know that I want the government's hands completely away from it. No regulation, no taxation on crypto, and that's my position. I'm going to be informing myself a little bit more this week. Tony said that, Daniel, you're another person that I should talk to about crypto. I'd love to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to actually have a meeting with some local dudes. We actually have a crypto event here this week. So there's some great minds that I'm going to be talking to establish kind of like a policy on what my stance on crypto is. So to kind of hit on some of these topics is civil rights and First Amendment rights, which you guys have been a victim of yourself. Me as a congressional candidate, I am not allowed to have a Twitter account. I'm not allowed to have a Facebook account. I am not allowed to have any social media whatsoever.
Yeah, I asked you about Twitter last night because I had sent you the screenshot, and I asked you, did you retweet this? And you were like, nope. And you told me it was Antifa, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that explains it.
Yeah, I opened a campaign Twitter account, and Antifa opened up a parody. They didn't label it as a parody, but they opened a parody account just about the same time that I opened mine. And they went ahead and they're posting all this racist stuff under like Donald Trump tweets, Matt Gaetz tweets. And like a week after having my campaign account, they shut it down. Twitter shut it down.
So when you said you're not allowed to have these accounts, you don't mean that as a congressional runner, you're not you're not forbidden by the government to not have an account. You're forbidden by Twitter, and you're forbidden by Facebook.
Forbidden by Twitter, and I'm forbidden by Facebook
and
to have
companies.
A congressional account. Now, I'm kind of torn on that, right? Because I don't want to regulate a business.
Private business, right. Yeah, that's where I would stand on that.
There's 2 things about that you have to understand. So you have to understand that it is a powerful tool. It's kind of circumventing the government, kind of circumventing our Constitution, because we live in a digital age. How do you get your podcasts out? Use your platform. It's a new public square.
Right.
So I'm being very careful when I say we need to regulate these companies, and I don't like using the word regulate, but something's got to give.
Well,
because
and quite
social
honestly,
media,
we already have regulation for that. I can't remember the exact name of the regulation right off the top of my head, but it's the one that basically says that these media companies can either be a platform or a publisher, and they're treated differently in the eyes of the law if they're trying to be one or the other.
Straight up, they're not caring about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
they really don't care about any of that.
what I'm saying is, it's not so much that they're.
publisher.
Yeah, it's what I'm saying. It's not so much that we need more laws or more regulations or whatever word you want to use for it, because we already have them and they're already being ignored. What's more of them going to do? It's kind of like the same argument about if we make laws for criminals, or laws that say you can't carry a gun, criminals are going to ignore it, but the good law-abiding citizens are going to follow it. So the laws don't do no good in those cases.
Now, I'm going to give you the prime example. So if I wanted to run for Congress back in like the 90s, right, I'd need $3 million because I needed to run non-targeted TV ads. I could target like a zip code, but I can't target anything. So social media has become a powerful tool for elections.
Absolutely.
I can hit a demographic by being male, female, their culture, if they're a dog owner,
median income.
If they like pizza, if I wanted to run ads on free pizza, I can target these people.
Free pizza and
right?
guns.
People who like pizza and crypto
and guns
in Florida.
Perfect example of this is the Cambridge Analytica thing that happened last year, where they used Facebook has 5,000 points of data on each one of its users, right? And they can use those 5,000 points of data, and that's minimum. Some people, they have a lot more points of data, but they could use that to target ads. So what does that tell you? It's a very powerful tool to reach out to voters. So if a socialist that you don't agree with wanted to run and wanted to go ahead and trample on our Constitution, they can use that platform in order to gain those votes, right? I have to knock on doors in order to get those same votes.
Well, I also think with you being a deplatform, using our podcast is another source for you to be able to reach the public. And that's why we've always told people that have been deplatformed, if you want to come on here, we have no problem getting your message out. I mean, although we know the risk that it takes because we have been censored before after having you on, we're still taking that risk. We're always going to take that risk because we believe you still have a right to reach the public and the masses by doing what you're doing. And we don't necessarily agree with, the social media companies for them censoring you. So, we do kind of put ourselves out there to say, hey, you know what, because of this, come on the show. We want you to be able to get your message out there. So there's loopholes and there's ways around it, and it's
there's loopholes and there's ways around it, but the thing is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's awesome, and this is probably where we disagree on some things, right? Because I believe that social media is the new public square, and I believe that they should be abiding by our First Amendment, period.
Right.
I don't know how we're going to implement this, but I know that if we don't fix this problem soon, we're going to have a huge issue in the following 2 or 3 elections. We're going to see this really ramp up, where you're going to be able to run you're not going to be able to run if you have slightly right-wing views. You're not going to be able to run and win in a congressional district because it can target people and voters like no other means of communication. It's not mail-outs. It's not ads. It's targeted ads.
Right.
This is very very dangerous. I mean, it was so dangerous for the Democrats to say, hey, the Russians were meddling in elections, and all they did was buy like $25,000 worth of like Facebook ads or something like that. This is real. Like, corporations, check this out. Corporations are influencing elections, essentially, right? This is what they're doing.
Right.
So the separation between corporations, because we don't have that now anyways, but this is actually mending them a little bit more together, where government and corporations are now working in cahoots to meddle in our elections and meddle in our democratic process. And I think something's got to be done.
Yeah, I would be a huge fan if we had anything that looked like separation of church and state in the form of separation of economy and state. That would be the most incredible move we could possibly. But it's such a strong source of power for government that, you know, there's no way that's ever going to happen. There's just no way. You know, you don't what do you say? Bite the hand that feeds you, so to speak. Yeah.
I agree 100%. I'm going to move on to something else that you guys might agree with is justice reform, right? Our criminal justice system is screwed. You know,
Been that
we
way
got
for a long time.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
we're locking people up for victimless crimes. We're locking people up for smoking trees. We're locking people up that have a drug problem. You know, probably an addiction problem. We're locking them up. We're not making it any better. It's costing the taxpayer billions of dollars to house these people, and for what? You know, when they come out, they go ahead and what's they're part of the system. They're going to go back to jail. They're going to go back to prison. We're not helping these people out. There's no. It's all for profit. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like it's
know
all
I
for
have a
profit.
number.
I feel like this isn't conservatism.
Yeah, I have a number of friends that are going through similar situations where they got put in jail for a small charge, and now they've been on probation for 2 years, and then they end up violating probation over some ridiculous rule, or so they missed
like a month before they got to get out of probation.
Absolutely, that's the worst of it. Is it always seems to be like the 2 weeks or a month before they're about to get off probation, they suddenly can find something to because they put all these restrictions on you. Like for example, there was. I'm trying not to give away names here. Anyway, they're told you can't possess a firearm, you can't be in possession of alcohol, you can't have these things in your home, which ends up by default being a violation of Second Amendment rights on the part of anybody else who happens to live in that home. And it's like it's not just affecting that one person; it's also affecting the other people around them. And like you said, it's all about profit. And every single thing that we go through ends up being another charge, another reason why we have to pay a court cost. We had to postpone your court date, but you're going to go ahead and have to pay those court costs for today and the next one. Oh, we're going to postpone it again. You're going to have to pay those court costs as well, even though we didn't see you. It's like no matter what you do, these people cannot seem to get out of the system. So I 100%, 1,000% agree with you that we need criminal justice reform.
And I think the president has taken amazing steps to kind of ease the burden. I mean, again, a lot of people blame him for a lot of stuff, but he's done an excellent job. And I think Congress needs to step up and do a better job when it comes to our justice system. He's one person, and obviously the separation of powers between the Supreme Court, the executive branch, and Congress are a thing. It's a real thing. We're seeing it right now with this impeachment process where the House is fighting the Senate. He's just one person. We need all these branches. We need the Supreme Court and the Congress to get with the program, and we need to start. That's why I'm going to win. I'm going to win because we need these changes, and people are seeing that. People are waking up. Another thing that is easy for me to say is our Second Amendment, right? I think that shall not be infringed part of the Constitution should be taken quite literally. We're seeing it with VA. I'm going to be in Virginia. Standing against this tyranny of the Virginia government with these Virginians on Monday.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Are you kind of surprised by what's going on up there right now?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, I'm sure I'm not the only one in our audience that isn't familiar with the subject, but I've heard some whispers of it, but I haven't actually had time to sit down and dig into it. Can you give us a brief kind of update on what is going on down there, and what's been happening?
Well, Governor Blackface is infringing on the Virginians' rights to carry. And that includes their not just the governor, their Senate and their House. They won this election. They got power. Lindsey Graham said this. I hope you guys don't get power. And that's what happened in Virginia. They're right now they're being overzealous. They're like, okay, we're going to pass all these anti-gun reforms. We got to protect the people. And here we go. 90% of the counties in Virginia have become sanctuary Second Amendment counties. Yeah. And the people are fed up. And on the 20th, they're going to go and they're going to march on the Capitol. The Virginian government is scared shitless,
as they should be,
and they just passed. They actually just a couple hours ago he signed it where there's no firearms allowed on the Capitol, And I don't know how well that's going to work out for them. I mean,
No fire alarms
they're
allowed in the
putting like
Capitol.
metal detectors, and everybody's already coming open carry. So I think my prediction is the party's not going to be at the Capitol. I don't think any of these guys are going to go into the Capitol. I think the party's going to be right outside the Capitol because if this state police doesn't go ahead and they actually enforce this, I think people are going to stand outside, and this is going to turn into a crap show.
It could turn ugly very quickly. Good lord.
It could turn ugly really quickly. I mean,
What
we're
a
seeing some of
blatant-
these, most of these sanctuary cities. Actually, the sheriffs are actually coming to this event on the 20th. So we're going to have a lot of police presence. I know a lot of people aren't thin blue line people, but if there was ever a time to be thin blue line, I think now's the time. I mean, we're seeing these counties that became sanctuary cities, they're becoming sanctuary cities because of the sheriffs. There is bad cops, dude.
Yeah,
Just
and
like there's
they're
bad
becoming
But-
sanctuary cities because of the model that's been laid out for us in as far as the illegal immigration sanctuary cities.
Yes,
So it's like,
it's
well,
funny.
if you can have sanctuary cities, so can we.
Yeah. So, I'm usually critical on like if a police officer does something wrong, I'm really critical on it. But in this case, I do applaud them. They were one of the first ones to go ahead and take that charge. But
let me ask-
we're seeing state police there wants to go ahead and infringe on these people's rights. So we have good cops, bad cops. It's not about cops. It's about bad people.
Bad people, good
Period.
people.
Right.
And the people of Virginia are fed up, dude. And I think that they're going to continue to do this until he either steps down or they abandon these laws. And I encourage the people of Virginia to have these events every weekend until this gets solved.
Yep.
There should be no compromise on our Second Amendment rights.
Take
And
the
let me tell you where I
take
stand
the
on
example
that.
of those yellow vest protests that are going on in France. That would be a great example to pull from.
Yeah. I think there's 22,000 gun laws in this country, right? How many more is going to keep people safe? I say we start chiseling away at those 22,000 gun laws. I'd go as far as to go on the offensive and do away with the NFA. I'd go that far and go ahead and do away with the NFA because you got to take an offensive position. We're taking these defensive positions where we're banning bump stocks. What's next? What if, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Democratic president come 2024. I hope not, but I think statistically we'll have a Democratic president that's going to use this ban on bump stocks, and it's going to be like, okay, what's next? Binary triggers, high capacity magazines. It's going to be used as a stepping stone for everything else. So what do we got to do? We got to go on the offensive. We got to make them go, oh, no. We got to keep the NFA. We got to get Democrats to think that the NFA is a good thing. So what do we do? We start legislation to go ahead and do away with the NFA. I want to be able to walk into Walmart and I want to be able to buy a fully automatic weapon.
So you made the announcement that you were going to be headed up there on the 20th. And it looked like the media kind of got wind of that. How's the left responded to your announcement about going up there to Virginia?
Well, definitely, I put a post on my page where
before you answer, Rebecca from Facebook says he just said, "Dude, I like this guy."
I'm actually I cuss like a sailor. I'm actually being very congressional right now.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Rebecca, you should have been here.
Show, I dropped an F-bomb every 2 minutes, but it's time. In order to reach out to voters, I do think that you gotta have language that people understand. Yeah. And then sometimes I'll drop, hey, listen, if I'm on that bench and I think an F-bomb is what we need to drop in Congress, I will drop that F-bomb.
You obviously wouldn't be the first person that would do it. So
no, I definitely wouldn't be the first person that would do it. I mean, back in the day, congressmen used to throw their spittoons at each other, And I think the people win when that happens. I think the people are the ones that win.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you about your 2020. I'm sorry about the media getting a hold of the information that you're heading down to Virginia.
Yeah, I made a post. It was funny. It had nothing to do with me, I'm pretty sure. But I went ahead and I made this post. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to Richmond on the 20th. And an hour later, I get a Huffington Post alert. Like, hey, the governor banned weapons from the Capitol because right-wing extremists and militia groups are going to go. Again, that wasn't because of me, but left-wing Twitter is throwing a hissy fit because I said that I'm going to Virginia. They are going absolutely apeshit.
Is it not irony that you're supposed to have these Second Amendment rights so you can defend yourself against the government, and then the government's going to say, "Hey, we're scared of you. Probably don't bring your guns."
I'd be scared too if I were them. If I was a progressive and I worked in the Virginian Capitol, I'd be scared. I'd be scared because you really pissed off a lot of people. This is going to be a big event. I mean, hopefully, and I pray that this is going to be a peaceful event. But I just don't see how they're going to continuously infringe on Americans' Second Amendment rights and for it not to get ugly. It might. I don't think it's going to get ugly on the 20th, but if this continues, I think something ugly is going to happen.
Well,
I pray it doesn't.
Well, that being said, I mean, now that obviously you've made it public that you're going up there on the 20th, do you think that Antifa's presence might be evident up there during this whole situation?
I'm sure they're going to come out, which is insane. They come out and they champion when people get banned on social media, which is like them rooting for corporate interests.
The reason why I asked,
and I tell them all the time, you're supposed to lick the boot, not swallow the whole thing. The boot in this case is corporate America, they're supposed to be against.
So I've had a couple of people ask me this question once I told them that you were going to be on the show, and it seems to be the number one question that comes up. If elected, how would you handle Antifa in your district if it became a problem?
Okay, so that's even for me that I've been, they've thrown IEDs, what essentially is an IED. I don't want to make it seem like it's an actual IED, but I did have shrapnel in my arm and leg. I've been spit on. They've thrown feces. They've thrown urine. Even somebody with as much bias as me, I tread very carefully when I say that we should label them a domestic terrorist group, right? Because, that could be turned around and used against anybody,
right.
But something has to be done. If they're labeled as a domestic terrorist group, I think that there should be like a clear line of what these charges are. And obviously, I don't want to violate anybody's Fourth Amendment rights. And I want their Sixth Amendment right, also, obviously. Like if they're part of this group and they commit an act of violence, there should be an enhancement, right, that puts them away for a longer time.
Well, the reason why I asked that,
it's organized crime.
Well, one of the reasons why I asked that, we saw what happened with the New York 9, and clearly that was very biased in the way all that whole situation went down. So I was kind of wondering if something like that happened in your district, how you would have handled it, just based off the conversations with other people I've had as far as if you got elected and how you would deal with Antifa.
So as obviously I represent my district, but also a congressman is supposed to represent the nation, right?
Right.
You obviously represent your constituents, but you need to establish law, right? You need to legislate things that would be good for the country, not just for your district.
Right.
You fight for your district, but you can't legislate against, for one, the Constitution. I'm going to keep saying that because I'm a freaking constitutionalist, but you have to be really careful in the way that you word these things. I'm guessing like an enhancement, and label them a domestic terrorist. And if they do commit an act of violence, political violence against somebody because of their political views, I believe your political views should be a protected class. You shouldn't go. Right-wingers shouldn't go attack people just because they're Democrats. You get me? It has to be even. But right-wingers aren't an issue in this country right now. It's a mental health issue. It's a family issue. I go back to this mass shootings, and I always ask this question, specifically to progressives. What do the last 28 mass shootings have in common? And they're like, oh, the gun. Okay, was it how they attained the gun or the gun itself? Yeah, how they attained it. They attained it. They didn't have a criminal background, but they have mental health issues. No, that's not the issues. Actually, 25 out of 28 of the last mass shooters come from a fatherless home.
Right.
And that's not something you can legislate. That's something that's cultural. That's an issue that's cultural.
Oh no, I disagree with you there. It's been legislated. That's why we have a bunch of fatherless homes.
Yeah,
it's called the women. It's called the single mother state or the welfare state.
Yes,
that's why we have a bunch of fatherless homes.
I agree with you 100%.
It's
But
been
I'm saying
legislated.
it's a cultural issue where it's cool to just leave a mother and forget about your kids. There's no father figure. Here's another statistic that I think it's 80% of teachers are female. There's a gender gap thing going on within our education system. So if they're raised by a single mother, then they go to school and the person that's teaching them is a woman. There's no fatherly figure in that home.
Or they're going to daycare during the years in between, and they're usually tends
women.
to be women.
Yeah, and that's nothing against women, because I think being a single mother is probably one of the most difficult things that there is to do. There is no father figure. You're there to fend for yourself. You try to find a boyfriend, and the guy's probably not the best role model for your kid. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult situation. But fatherless homes is a problem, so we need to address those problems.
I mean, sometimes maybe it's your duty or your role in this society to act as an example to others about what not to do. So I know a lot of people tend to venerate the single mother and just hold them up on a pedestal. I tend to look at them and go, hey, you've made some shitty choices and now you're living with those choices, and since the government is willing to step in and support you and help you out, nobody's going to learn the lesson that you have to teach. So the process is just going to continue on and on and on until that's been corrected.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. To touch on another subject, since we're hitting I guess my campaign points, is education. So the Democrats are playing, the socialists are playing a long game, right? They knew that if they crept their way into academia, they would change. The youth are the future. We saw this with a lot of dictators in the past, where they know that the youth is the key to the future, and they played that game back in the 70s and 80s, and they started getting into academia. Our education system is here. I'm going to drop an F-bomb. Our education system is fucked, right? It needs to be fixed. We're indoctrinating these kids with useless crap that they're never going to use in their life.
On an outdated model that definitely doesn't have anything to do with our current modern day technology.
I don't want to remove these things that I'm about to say: trigonometry, advanced algebra. Let's just start with those two. So I don't want to remove these things out of the curriculum, but I do want to add things. I want to add how to fill out your tax form. What each line is, how to start a business locally, how to be a tradesman, how to change a tire. During those years, you should be learning things that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And I think something that's really important is learning how to do your own taxes at the end of the year.
I got something to say about that for sure. First of all, a lot of those things you just listed sound like the perfect things that a father should be able to teach a kid.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Ta-da, 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 ta-da. But there was a very good analogy that I heard years ago about public schools, and basically it went something like this. For the public schools to teach you how bad government is, or all the bad things that government has done, is a lot like asking the Coca-Cola company to show you on paper why and how their product causes cancer and then run on that. You're never going to get the schools to teach you how to do taxes, because then you get to see what taxes even are, how they operate, why are they so complicated, where do these come from, oh wait, these taxes pay for the school that's teaching me this bullshit, oh okay, kids are smart, they'll make that connection, and we don't want any of that connection to be made.
Yeah, you're keeping people stupid. Keeping people stupid so they could be and I said this on the last show, this country was founded on the principle that the British wanted to tax us 3% on a breakfast beverage. right? I always use that analogy because it's the best thing possible.
Mm.
And I was actually talking with my team today because we're going to make like a little infographic on how much taxes you actually pay. Here in Florida, gas is at about like two something a gallon, too high a gallon, and you pay over $1 in taxes between federal, state, and local taxes
Right.
per gallon. Right, cigarettes, same thing. You're paying more for cigarettes. The government's making more money off cigarettes than these tobacco companies, or the gas station that's selling them. When people actually see that their income is being taxed higher than 50%, because if you include property taxes, state taxes, sales tax, all of that, at the end of the year, you're left with half of your freaking paycheck. So if we're not educating these people, then they're just going to live life thinking, oh, you know what we should tax? The Democrats will be like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to just hit the Democrats here. I'll hit the Republicans too. Hey, you know what we should tax? We should tax this thing. Right. And you're like, emotionally, you know, they pull at your heartstrings. Oh, the homeless population. Oh, Section 8 housing. I care. I'm like, I care about these people that are on the streets, but just giving them handouts isn't going to help them. Like there has to be some type of program or something, and we'll talk about that later. But, you know, they're telling you a congressman runs on more legislation. You know, there's no congressman that runs on de-legislation, like
Right.
removing some of these things. Like that's your job. You're like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna help these people out. I went to a debate for the Miami-Dade County mayor, and there was like 9 people on the stage, or no, 11 people on the stage, and like I couldn't believe what I was listening to. Every single one, regardless if I knew they were leaned left or right, was talking about some new tax that they want to do. Like they tug at the heartstrings. Oh, better public transportation for this, better public housing. I'm like, dude, how about like business owners? Like, what are we doing for business owners
Yeah.
in the city? You know, what are we doing for people that invest in real estate? Like, what are we doing for these people that are actually like bringing up the economy here locally?
Well,
Yeah,
here's
I
the
didn't hear none
problem,
of that.
Enrique. Here's the problem. That's such a small portion of the constituency that why would I need to try to get their vote? I don't need their vote. I need the vote of the people, the whole bunch of people that are too stupid to understand how this all works. The people that are going to like, oh, they hear, oh, yeah, we want to help the homeless. Yeah, we want to have those new free things. Sure, we'll vote for you. That's who that's the only reason they stay in office, because they're sitting there, you know, running for them. They're not going to run for a small business owner. The small business owner is such a small minority that why would they do that? They're not going to get voted in by business owners.
Yeah. So here's my authoritarian stance on things. Here comes the tyranny.
Ah, this is where the whole feed shuts off.
Here comes the whole
oh
thing.
shit!
Good
Sorry,
night, folks.
Enrico, you're cutting up. Oh, we're losing our feed again.
Here comes the tyrannical Enrique Tarrio in Congress. I'd force these schools to show these kids how taxes work, how the government's really screwing them over. I'd force these schools on a federal level to show them how to do their taxes, how the city and how the city is screwing them, how to join your local committee meeting, or your local Republican club, or your local become a committee man. You know, get involved in this process.
Okay, let's play this out for a second. I'm just curious how this plays out. You say I'm going to force the schools to teach how to do taxes. Now let's say I am a school and we have a bunch of teachers union that we have to go through to figure out what to do and how to do it and when to do it. And we decide we're not going to do that.
That's very simple. I have very simple solutions to everything. Pull your funding.
Pull my funding.
Pull your federal funding. Yes.
But guess what? Re-election's coming up here in about a year and a half or so, and well, guess what? You're pulling funding from school children. You clearly don't care about the kids.
I'm not running on money. I'm running on principle.
But the kids, man. You know, new ad.
We got to pull that heartstring.
Enrique Tarrio hates children. So he's pulling funding from this school, and now we can't even educate our own children. He clearly doesn't care about educating people.
And then I'll counterattack that. I'm saying that the teachers union doesn't give a crap about their students. The teachers union wants to keep students stupid.
I know
They
this.
want to go ahead.
You know
they
this.
want to go ahead and well, yeah.
But the
I'm pitching
average voter is going to hear. Yeah, the average voter is going to hear.
It's my job to campaign on that.
Yeah.
It's my job to reach that voter. If I fail at it, then you know what? I should be out. Another thing I am going to be doing as soon as I get to Congress is a lot of people promise this, and I will promise it every time I grab that microphone in Congress. And I promise you guys on this show that I'll do it. I would be the first one to go ahead and say well, I'm not the first one to say it, but I'd be the most prominent voice in Congress to say that there has to be term limits for congressmen. There has to be term limits for the Senate. There has to be term limits for House seats. You know, all these politicians that are running for president on the Democratic side, you know, they've been in Congress for 40 years. They're blaming the president for all these horrible things that he did in these past 3 years. But, you know, you've been in Congress for fucking 40 plus years. There, I dropped another F-bomb.
Couldn't make it the whole episode, could you?
He's trying.
Episode, but I'm angry, dude. I'm really angry. Like this really pisses me off. They've been in Congress for 40 years.
You know he's gonna get off the show after we're done here, and he's just gonna like start spewing F-bombs all over his house, and he's gonna go like smack his kids or something. You know,
I'll get a message from him on Telegram. It's just gonna say fuck.
Well, you guys like hot mic fucking time.
Yeah. Listen,
Mike era that you go ahead and you're like, all right, we're offline, and I'm going on a tangent, like running around, like I'll knock all this crap over.
Listen,
because I'm passionate about this stuff, dude. Like I'm really angry that these politicians are in here for 40 years and they go ahead and they blame the president for 3 years. Listen, I am not one of these people that'll tell you I'm with the president every step of the way. I'm not. I brought that up in one of your Facebook groups today. Mm-hmm. You got me? I support him 100%. It doesn't mean I agree with him 100%. You know?
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
This bump stock stuff was crazy.
Right.
He made a tweet about Tim Apple, which is... It's hilarious that he calls him Tim Apple. About Apple unlocking phones.
Yeah, I saw that.
Criminal.
Yeah,
you know,
I disagree with that.
I don't want the government. I think that's horrible.
Yep.
You know, I don't stand with him, but I am going to tell you that I support him 100%. He's a captain of the ship, dude. Yeah. But some of these things we can't go ahead and be like, oh, he's a horrible president because of this. You know, we look at all his accomplishments in the past 3 years have been amazing, and that granted that we have, you know, Congress. Republicans and Democrats in Congress that are working against him. You know, most of this blame goes to Congress. You know, most of these laws that are coming into effect, they go to Congress. They go to your local sector, your governors in Virginia, your Senate, your state houses. You know, you gotta really lay the blame out on the people that are actually putting these red flag laws in place and really putting these socialist policies in place, dude. It angers me. That's why I'm passionate about this. That's why I'm running for Congress. I'm not running for Congress because like I want to be like, oh, I'm running for Congress. This is so cool. It's not because it's cool. I want to be a servant.
You actually want to make a legitimate difference is what I'm kind of
getting
from
a legitimate difference.
Yeah.
There's none of these politicians here locally that I'm seeing, right,
Did he just say,
actually wanting to run. They want a notch on their belt. I don't want a notch on my belt.
Let me get this straight. You said you want to be a servant, and earlier you referred to those servants as basically a slave for the people. Am I to understand that you are literally a dark-skinned fella who wants to be a slave? Is that...
I do.
All
I
right.
do.
So
I want to be a dark-skinned person.
Got it.
I want
Got
to
it.
be a piece of human dynamite that my constituents from District 27 throw that human dynamite into Congress. Like, I want to shake things up. You want to shake things up? District 27, vote for me.
All right.
Because
Awesome.
shake it up. They're going to think that there's a coup being established against the Democrats in Congress when I go in there. And that also includes, I keep saying Democrats, but that also includes the establishment right that's sitting in Congress, and they're sitting and they're voting and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a Republican. But you know what? Red flag laws are a great idea. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. Okay? You could have views. You could have some social views on things that aren't. Conservatives tout the First and Second Amendment like every time we talk, right? Every time we talk. If you are a Republican, if you consider yourselves a conservative, there should be no compromise on any constitutional rights. You should zero, zero, zero. Don't call yourself a constitution. Don't call
I agree 100%. Before we wrap up, I've got a couple small little things I want to do with you.
Gonna
here.
shift gears and have a little fun with it.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up on a high note, which I mean it's been pretty high note the whole time. I feel like this has gone really well. But first thing I wanted to say is I was looking at. I was looking at your Enrique Tarrio 2020 District 27 flyer with your bald ass head and you staring at the camera. Go ahead and click them links that I brought you. That first one I brought up.
Now it's the other one where you've got your hands in front of your face and you look like you're kind of praying.
Yeah. So it reminded me of Pinky, a brain from Pinky and the Brain.
I clicked the first link.
Yeah, it reminded me of Brain from Pinky and the Brain a little bit.
I don't think so.
But it also reminds me of the 1990s version of Lex Luthor.
Yes, it's that
Is
one.
that the second link?
Yeah, that's the link I sent you. Yeah, that's you right there, isn't it? Aren't you Lex Luthor?
Probably modeled it after me, but I think I look better. To be honest with you. I mean, hold on. What's this? Is it like
there,
having a hard time here.
Go back.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
That's word. And this Pinky and the Brain, this is awesome. This is Stone Zone, baby.
I was gonna say
right.
that kind of reminded me of Stone when he showed me that.
So check this out. We have one final piece here that we like to do every week. It's called the Faux Bizimist. It's a section of the show. It's probably our favorites. We usually lead the show with it, but I kind of forgot. I got too excited and went to the show. So let me run the intro for that. Or not, because it's not going to run while it's going on. That's weird. Screw it. Faux Bizimist. Anthony, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, no. It sounds better when you altered the sound.
Faux Bizimist. So yeah, we've got a little stinger for that didn't work this time. It's fucking technology, man. So anyway, today on the Faux Bizimist, First of all, for those of you who don't know what the Faux Bizimist is, let me just give you some background information because I know we have a lot of people that are watching
They can find
today.
it on Urban Dictionary. You ain't got to tell them no more.
They can, but we got a lot of people that are watching that haven't seen the show before. The Faux Bizimist, it's our section of the show where we put on our little social justice warrior cap and we pretend to be super offended at everything, and we teach you why you should be offended by mundane objects, ideas, people, places, things, etc. So, and today's episode of the Faux Bizimist, we want to tell you why you should be offended by that great show, All in the Family.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, and this one seems really obvious, but maybe if you guys want to just jump in and maybe tell me why you think it's offensive, just see if I know you guys are just Faux Bizimists in training, so there's no wrong answers here. So let's just see what you got.
This kind of seems like the first episode of where you can gain your white privilege card.
Okay, that's pretty offensive. I'll see that. Enrique, do you have any idea why All in the Family would be offensive?
So, yeah, definitely why it would be offensive, and why it offends me, and it offended me when I was a kid too. First off, people like me weren't represented in the show. Second of all, I think it's racist, misogynist. I don't think it should be on air. I don't think reruns of it should ever play.
Check this out. I agree with you as far as you weren't represented. I agree with you that the show is in fact very racist, very misogynist.
Wait, but are we talking
by
about
today's
Archie
standards.
Bunker? Or
Yes.
we're talking about yes,
Archie Bunker's
super racist.
the patriarchy of the family from All in the Family. That's correct. So I did a little research. I watched all 207 episodes of the show as well as the 2 pilots, and I found out that Archie Bunker made 3,566 black jokes, 922 Mexican jokes, 2,921 women jokes, 731 Asian jokes, 208 Native American jokes, 37 homosexual jokes, and 14 jokes about Jews, and 1 trans joke. He made 1 trans joke. So here's the problem.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. So here's the problem. Here's the problem. Yes, the show is very offensive. I'll give you that. But I feel like it was Archie Bunker was an equal opportunity offender, but we need an equal outcome offender, okay? I say we do a reboot of All in the Family, and we make sure that all races, all sexes, all religious beliefs are represented equally, and all of the jokes come out to be exactly the same across the entire board. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
I think that, or we just do away with jokes altogether. Right?
That's where we're headed now.
Yeah, I think we've already been down that road.
Yeah,
It's still going that way.
I
All
think
right.
jokes should be. Here comes my authoritarian side
Oh
again.
no.
I
Buckle
think
up.
Yeah.
speech against any group should be illegal. Any racial, ethnic, cultural. I mean,
Except for whites.
people with one eye and one leg, also known as Eileen. That should be illegal.
Yeah,
think
that
that's
wasn't
it.
even a joke.
No.
I actually know that lady. She's actually really sweet, and I'm kind of offended that you haven't said that. All right, man.
Well,
Yeah.
where can people
Yeah.
find you, and where can they hit you up at as far as Enrique Tarrio for 2020?
So, if you go to my website, it's tario2020.com. It has a whole bunch of stuff. On the menus, it has what my stances are on issues. I'm going to be pulling out 4 new issues a month. I'm actually getting ready to roll out 4 new ones. So if you click on the issues page, you'll be able to see what my stance on things are. Also, very important, we live in a capitalistic society. I can't win without money. If you guys believe in me, if you guys believe that I am going to shake up Congress, go ahead and click that donate button. $5, $20, $10,000. I'm kidding. But my max is $2,800. Anything that you could donate, anything that you can help my campaign. This is all I'm doing for the next 12 months. I'm not focused on anything else right now. I'm here to get into Congress. I'm here to make a change. So if you guys believe that I am that person, go ahead and click that donate button. There's also an events tab where you can go ahead and meet me. I'm going to be having coffee with a constituent once a week. So any donation of any kind, even if it's $1, it doesn't matter, even if I have to pay for the coffee. But if you go ahead, if you're local, or if you're flying down, you have a chance every week to go ahead and have a coffee with me, just as long as you donate. And I'm going to meet as many of you as possible throughout my campaign run. So
You are going to be pissing so much with that coffee.
I just got out. December I had kidney stones. So
Oh, shit.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I tell you what.
So much fun. It is so. Kidney stones are so bad. It is worse than giving birth.
Oh, gee. Well,
I said it's kind of the equivalent too.
I'm not
so-
sure how
I
you
get
can
some-
compare that, but okay.
I'm gonna get so much heat for
So
saying that.
Rebecca from the
I'm
comments,
kidding. I'm-
Rebecca from Facebook says, "I'm donating for the simple fact that you said, dude."
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I appreciate it. I
I
appreciate
tell you-
Oh, Joaquin
Do
from
that.
YouTube. He says, "Hey, where's the best place for a one-legged person to work at?" IHOP.
Oh God, here we go.
Here we
And the
go.
puns come rolling
Oh,
in.
we've done got him started. All right, man. Listen. I appreciate you coming on. I know I was pressing you pretty hard on a couple of things, and I do appreciate you kicking, fighting, and screaming, and everything else you were doing. That was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing it again sometime. And if you, our platform's open to you whenever you want to be on. And,
Anytime.
yep. And appreciate you coming on, man.
And that's 3 times that you're gonna invite me to your show. You really like living dangerously, dude.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
next time we'll have to do this from Miami once he's
Miami.
elected,
Right.
and see how well that goes over.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you
see?
should come to Virginia and we could do a live show right from
Oh
the
my
ground.
God, I wish I could. I so wish I
Well.
could. If I didn't have a job and 4 kids to take care of. You know, after my kids have moved on, then I'll be a lot more free to be able to come out and do some shit like this with you.
Okay, so we'll do it in like 10 years. That's fine.
10 years.
But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on your show. I appreciate you guys giving me a platform when so many others are like, no, we're definitely not going to have this guy on. So it means a lot to me. I love you guys. I love your viewers. Go ahead, support these guys. Go to their website, buy their gear, donate to them. Anything that you got to do, just go to Tario 2020 and donate to me first.
That's right.
All right, brother.
All right, y'all.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Thank you guys for joining into the comment section. It's been a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, Amira here confirms, yep, it's more painful than childbirth.
And
So-
congratulations to her U.S. citizenship as well.
We did
Yes,
we did that Sunday.
We
No,
gotta do
she
it
doesn't.
again.
She
Hey,
doesn't get two
hey,
congratulations.
She's proud of it. I'm proud of her.
Look, that's like my daughter coming to give me a hug at night, saying I love you, and then wanting another one 5 minutes later. Like, dude, we already went through this fucking parade here, dude. Come on, what's wrong with you?
All right, are we all fair already? I'm out of here. You
All
know,
right.
I'm about to go trash this place right now.
All right,
All right,
y'all
brother.
have a
We'll
good
talk to you
night.
soon.